so tribal. Oh, don't stop. I was feeling it. I was feeling it in my plexus. Oh, that's so primal. That was, here, wait. That was this. Planet Drum by Mickey Hart from the Grateful Dead. The first Planet Drum CD. Very good, very good. But, so, Carol, the governor's debate just happened or is happening or is ending. The presidential debate's going to happen at 9 o'clock. Do you know how many phone calls I had to make that happen? How many favors I had to call in to get them to schedule both those things around monkey time? Oh, man, that took some favors. Luckily, I have those photos. All those photos of Pat McCrory, you know, in that compromising position. In the puppet party. Oh, I know them puppets. Us puppets stick together. Pat McCrory is going to be a puppet of the Republican Party, and Walter Dalton, can we put up number 6, Carol? This is so sad. So Walter Dalton's been running this rather tepid campaign, and public policy polling. It's a North Carolina-based polling company, monkeys, that's actually getting very good, has a very good reputation nationwide. Publicpolicypolling.com. We've had their main poll guy on, Tom Jensen. They're really good. Anyway, they did a new poll, Carol, and Walter Dalton, instead of being down by 6 or 7, is now down by 10. It makes you want to, no offense to Bev Perdue fans, but it makes you want to smack Bev Perdue. Why did she give up an incumbent? She gave up. She had much more name recognition than Dalton. It would be much closer. Would be a fight of her life. She gave up. And so now, because Bev Perdue waited to the last minute to drop out of the race, or very close to the last minute, Walter Dalton had a fundraising disadvantage. He didn't have the... Now, because Bev Perdue quit, I'm sorry, Carol, it's like Sarah Palin. She's letting her term run out. But Bev Perdue, really? You quit. And now North Carolina is almost certain to have both a Republican House and a Republican Senate and a Republican governor. Voter ID laws, going to pass. Abortion restrictions, going to pass. This state is going to be a mess. Immigration restrictions, going to pass. Anything, the wet dream, Art Pope's wet dream is going to come true in North Carolina because Bev Perdue quit and Walter Dalton can't run a campaign. So just get ready for that, monkeys, even as you're going, yay, Obama's going to win the national, whatever. We are going to have a tough time in North Carolina this year, the next few years, monkeys. Tough time. Republican governor, Republican legislature. You see what happens in Virginia, Arizona, Georgia, other states. I think Georgia has that too. Bad news in North Carolina coming up, monkeys. Unless Walter Dalton pulls out a miracle. And somehow, Carol, looking at that debate for a few minutes before the show, I don't think that's going to happen. He needs to be running against the Republican legislature and Pat McCrory being a rubber stamp for the worst excesses of Paul Stam and all that ilk. Ilk is such a good word, Carol. Ilk. Paul Stam and the ilk that surrounds him. Instead, Walter Dalton's kind of, he's running against McCrory, who's, It's like, no! The only thing stopping North Carolina from becoming one of those right-wing test states is Walter Dalton. And he needs to be telling us that. His current campaign is not working. The best polling we have says that his lead, or McCrory's lead, is increasing. You got 1 month, Walter. The debate ain't going to do it. Anyway, okay, I'm done. We're spending too much time on it because Dalton's going to lose. All right, so The debate tonight. Remember, I heard NPR earlier tonight, Carol, saying the race is very close. Obama and Romney, very, very close. You look at the national polls. Just a couple points. Obama's ahead by 9 points in Ohio. He's ahead in Pennsylvania. These are, when you look at the electoral vote count, and anybody anyone who's done the numbers on the electoral votes, it's not close, monkeys. So whenever you hear somebody in the press say, oh, this is a very tight, close race because of the national numbers, doesn't matter. They're being an idiot. They're trying to get you excited so you pay attention to the news. That's what they do. Oh, come on. You know I'm not lying. You know it's true. Uh-oh. It's kind of looking like an electoral blowout. And the press looks at each other and says, well, what do you think we should do? I don't know. What do you think we should do? We can't have an electoral blowout a month ahead. We wouldn't get we won't get the eyeballs. We need we need those eyeballs. That's true. We need those eyeballs. Well, how do we get those eyeballs? I know. We'll tell them it's a close national race because the numbers nationally show pretty close. Oh, good idea. Even though the Electoral College is pretty much a blowout at this point. Oh, yeah. We can fool them. Oh, it's a close race. It's a neck and neck. Right? That's what they do. You know it. The presidential race is not close. It's not. There's no one who's projecting a close electoral victory here. We'll see how much the Republicans cheat. They're trying it. Voter ID laws, all kinds of stuff. They're trying to suppress the vote in all kinds of ways. Down in Florida, we're seeing actual voter fraud. We're seeing accusations in California. Have you followed this, Carol? Accusations in California that they're hiring people to use fake petitions, that what they do, instead of saying, oh yeah, legalize this or that, or they're actually changing voter registrations for people, Carol, without their knowledge. Have you heard that? Just came up in California this past week. That's Republicans doing that. Meanwhile, they're crying about voter fraud, but it's the Republicans who are doing it. Now, how does it benefit them to change people's voter registrations in the last month or two before an election? Well, the phone calls to get out the vote. Democrats use Democratic registrations to do that. If Republicans send out a bunch of people, this has just happened in California. One of the people whose voter registrations was changed, Carol, is running for office as a Democrat. That's one of the ways it came out. This is Republicans doing this. Oh, but the Democrats are against voter fraud because of the voter ID. Whatever. We know how you do. We know how you do. They're giving people petitions about some vague, some issue. But really what the people are doing when they sign, they're not paying attention. They're signing to change their voter registration from Democrat to Republican, which takes them off the radar for Democrats who want to get out the vote. It's genius and evil. And it's not Democrats that are doing it right now. It's Republicans in California. Carol, remind me to put that link on my Twitter page. Okay, so next. The tata thing. Can we do the tata thing? Oh, yeah, we'll get to that. Oh, that's rich. Oh, yeah. Hey. Deborah Goldman on the school board is all like, oh, I'm just beside myself. It says he was fired for no cause, without cause, or on that thing he signed that gave him $250,000. He was fired for cause. Now, you may disagree with the cause, but he wasn't fired just for politics. The N&O, in their editorial the day after, the Democrats on the school board said, look, this is what we were hearing, didn't even bother to address the accusations that about Tata's management style. Didn't even bother to address the issue. Oh, this was terrible. Now, Carol, it was stupid to fire him right before an election. God, Kevin Hill, you're an idiot. Kevin Hill is an idiot for firing Tony Tata a month before a major election. What an idiot. But that just goes to show you how there was no real political calculation here. It accumulated. Tata was imperious. We hear this. And Deborah Goldman's like, no, it says on the piece of paper he signed to get $250,000 that it wasn't for cause. It's like, yeah, whatever, Deborah. He was fired for cause. Regardless of what that piece of paper his lawyers and the school board's lawyers signed to get off each other's backs and let each other go their separate ways, Tata was fired for cause. We all know it. That's how it was. And Paul Koble's throwing a little fit. I didn't get to run for a house. I'm really worried that I'm going to be stuck as a Wake County commissioner for the rest of my life, but I'm going to be the best, most ridiculous Wake County commissioner I can be. Paul Koble, what a jerk. Jerk. Paul Koble equals jerk. So, anyway, Tata was fired for cause. He was hiding things from the school board. He was hiding costs. And when they bring this stuff up, John Tedesco's like, oh, well, why are you bringing it up now? Well, because we weren't supposed to bring it up. But damn it, if you're going to attack us for being political, we'll tell you why that mofo was fired. We'll tell you what Tata did if you want. There was cause. All right. And Kevin Hill did it stupidly. The Democrats on the school board were politically stupid to do it right before an election. Stupid. Unbelievable, Carol. Unbelievably stupid is what the Democrats were in terms of their timing. Okay, next. What were we going to talk about? Oh, yeah. What was the next one? Oh, the debates. Yes, the debates. Okay. This is so important that I don't want to do it with a monkey. I want to do it monkey to monkey, not puppet to monkey. All right? Can we come up? Look how, hey, that's pretty relaxed, right? Oh, Carol, you should have let me at least sit up and be like, oh, yeah, the puppet. No, I try to relax to kind of like not get too uptight. But behind the scenes, now we're going to go behind the scenes of the presidential debates. Okay? Can we do that? Listen. This is important, okay? Tonight's debate is going to be a crock. Jim Lehrer is, seething, Carol. The New York Times interviewed him yesterday, or Monday, and Jim Lehrer was seething at the notion that people were attacking him for being too tame and too mild and, the puppet of the two major parties. But when you go back and look at the history of how the presidential debate, the Commission on Presidential Debates stole the debates away from the League of Women Voters in the 80s. Facts. I can give you facts. You will see that Jim Lehrer and all the other moderators this year are part of a puppet show. Hey, it's Jim Lehrer. Oh, I'm just Jim Lehrer. I'm going to ask tough questions. Here's what happened. Are you ready? Are you ready to hear what happened? 1980, Carter versus Reagan. Did you know there was a third-party candidate? John Anderson. Right? This was from an interview with, his name is George Farah, founder of Open Debates, which is trying to pull the debates away from this Commission on Presidential Debates. It was at Democracy Now! It was a left-wing radio show. I'm just giving you, I think even right-wingers will enjoy this information. Democracy Now! Did an interview with the guy from Open Debates, democracynow.org. As Obama-Romney hold first debate behind the secret GOP/Dem effort to shut out third parties and more, and control the conversation. In 1980, Carter refused to debate this new third-party guy, Anderson. Just absolutely refused to share the stage with him. In the same way that Gore refused to share the stage, Carol, with Nader and shut him out of the debates, right, in 2000. Both of those guys lost. Interesting. Maybe that strategy isn't wise. So Anderson debated Reagan together, and then later, and Anderson came across really good, and then Reagan and Carter debated separately later. The first debate the first presidential debate in 1980, Carter wasn't even there. Anderson debated Reagan. Anderson his campaign kind of went downhill after that, but Carter lost. Then, in 1984, Reagan versus Mondale. I love this stuff. It's a long transcript. I've linked to it at my Twitter page. Reagan versus Mondale. Reagan and Mondale both rejected the League of Women Voters' choice of moderators. How many moderators do you think they rejected, Carol, as they were debating? Reagan and Mondale, the League of Women Voters was proposing moderators who would ask tough questions. You know how many Reagan and Mondale rejected, Carol? 10, Carol says. Higher. Really? How many? 80. The League of Women Voters in 1984 kept suggesting moderator after moderator after moderator to Reagan and Mondale's campaigns, and they rejected 80 of them in a row because they were so scared of being asked tough questions. Now, what did the League of Women Voters do? This is very important to understanding what's going to happen tonight at 9 o'clock, because we don't have the League of Women Voters organizing our presidential debates anymore, Carol. Monkeys. We have something called the Commission on Presidential Debates. We're going to get to who they are in a second. In 1984, the League of Women Voters had 80 of its moderating choices rejected by Reagan and Mondale. They did not want to give over control of this debate to a real independent third party who would choose a moderator who would ask tough questions. 1984. So what did the League of Women Voters do? This is quoting directly from George Farah from Open Debates. The League didn't just say, okay, that's fine, we'll allow you to select a moderator that's going to ask you softball questions. The League of Women Voters in 1984 held a press conference and lambasted, that's a strong word, Carol. When you lambast somebody, you don't hold anything back. Lambasted the campaigns for trying to get rid of the difficult questions. There was a huge public outcry. So the League of Women Voters marshaled that outcry to criticize, or to marshal the public support, so to criticize the campaigns for rejecting this public, where we would own the moderator, at least through the League of Women Voters. And come on, Carol, how tough is the League of Women Voters? Right? Too tough. All right, we've got a phone call. Let's hold that thought. We're at Reagan Mondale in 1984. Yeah, hi, you're on the air.
Hi, Todd. I just want to tell you thank you so much for using the puppet tonight, because my husband and I were able to watch you with our 5-year-old, who ordinarily wouldn't allow us to watch something like this. She'd want to watch cartoons.
Is the 5-year-old still there?
Pardon me?
Is the 5-year-old still there?
Yeah, she's right here.
What's her name?
Lylan.
Carol, can we get the 5-year-old to say hi? Oh, Leyland?
Say hi.
Leyland?
Hi.
Hi, Leyland. How you doing? You doing all right? Good? Yeah? You like puppets?
Yeah.
I like puppets too. Aw. Well, you.
Monkey.
What?
Where's the monkey?
Right here. Look. Do, 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 do. Hey, Leyland. Listen, I got to get back to talking to your mom and dad. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, we're back. Oh, she sounds adorable. How old is she? 5?
Yes.
Oh, that sounds great. I love 5-year-olds. 5-year-olds are a good age because they're still open. They're open.
So thank you so much.
Oh, no problem.
We enjoy watching and listening, but, you know, she kind of rules the TV. But
Oh, yeah.
we can all watch.
Yeah. Well, here, I can show you a monkey.
Yes, please keep showing us the monkey.
I can do a monkey. I don't need no puppet. I don't need no puppet.
That's for you, sweetie. That's awesome.
All right, you guys have a good night.
All right, you too. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, so while the presidential debates are coming up, you should know how we got to this point. So in 1984, Reagan and Mondale were embarrassed by the League of Women Voters after rejecting 80 of the moderating choices. 80, Carol. And so the League of Women Voters got their way. The result was fantastic. For the next debate, the campaigns were required to accept the League's proposed moderators. And then, fast forward 4 more years, that was 84. Now we're up to 1988. Michael Dukakis and George Herbert Walker Bush, drafted the first ever 12-page secret debate contract. In other words, they cut out the League of Women Voters in 1988. They did not want the public outcry of the League of Women Voters saying, you need to let us choose the moderators so we can nail you guys. So Dukakis and Bush 1, their people met, and they drafted a secret 12-page contract about everything. No third-party candidates, these kinds of questions were allowed, these weren't. And they handed it to the League of Women Voters and said, please implement this in 1988. And this was 87. And the League of Women Voters said, no way. And so what did the Bush and Dukakis campaigns do? They said, conveniently, in 1987, this is a year earlier, the Republican and Democratic parties had both ratified an agreement to take over the presidential debates. And the Commission on Presidential Debates was born. Who ran the Commission on Presidential Debates, Carol? Co-chairs, the head of the Republican Party and the head of the Democratic Party. That's what the Commission on Presidential Debates, which organized tonight's debate in 35 minutes, that's what the Commission on Presidential Debates was. A response to the tough questions being asked by the League of Women Voters moderators. And I mean, come on, how messed up is that the League of Women Voters was too tough for your campaigns? So you got this Democrat and Republican party chair joining together. No, can we do that next week? Let me finish this thought. I really want to finish this. So that's how we got the Commission on Presidential Debates, 1988. And here's what we've seen, those contracts now, right? Very specific provisions. What was it that scared them so much? Well, candidates could not actually ask each other any questions during the debates. Now they're saying tonight that's going to be a little different. No third-party candidates would be permitted. Did you ever see Jesse Ventura in a national presidential debate, Carol? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't think so. And that there'd be a certain number of audience members supportive of each party in the audience. Not just an open thing, but that they carefully controlled that. So the Commission on Presidential Debates, and let's get to them in just a second, who exactly they are, was formed by the Democratic and Republican parties working in secret. It's rare that we get to see these contracts, to hammer out what the debates are, and they choose who the mods are. This year, there's been some discussion now that they were forced to include some women moderators. But Jim Lehrer was quoted in the New York Times Monday as seething that people would dare to suggest he was chosen for being tame, when the whole process of the Commission on Presidential Debates was so that it would be more tame. That's the whole process for this commission. Now, who is the major financer of the Commission on Presidential Debates? Anheuser-Busch, who is still, on the Democratic side, the head of the representative from the Democrats. Who is it? His name is Frank Fahrenkopf. He's still the co-chair, right? Oh, he was the Republican guy, I'm sorry. The Republican guy, Frank Fahrenkopf, who started the Commission on Presidential Debates, was the head of the Republican Party, is still, in 1988, is still head of the Republican head of the Commission on Presidential Debates. Do you know what else his job is, Carol? He is still the director of the American Gaming Association, the biggest gambling lobby in the United States. And the company that provides the most money for the commission's work is Anheuser-Busch. So, this commission is being brought to you by the biggest gambling lobby in the United States. The guy was also originally head of the Republican Party. And the other guy's head of the Democratic Party. And Anheuser-Busch and a bunch of other corporate sponsors, instead of, as it was in the 80s, the League of Freaking Women Voters. Just so you know, that is how we got to where we are now. with safe little Jim Lehrer feeling pressured to actually ask some tough questions. The whole process of the Commission on Presidential Debates was designed to pull the conversation away from ordinary Americans like you and I, as represented by our aggressive League of Women Voters. Too aggressive for the parties. And now they just shut out all the third-party people. Anyway, put up my Twitter page, Carol. I've linked to all this. You can go to democracynow.org, and they're actually including the Green Party and other parties in their version of the debates, their coverage of the debates. I suppose. How much time we got? 20 seconds. Have you noticed that the Independent changed its name? It's no longer the Independent. It's Indie Week now. We're going to talk more about the changes to the Independent next week. But that's what in a half hour, think about Anheuser-Busch and the American Gaming Association as you watch the debate. And we'll see you next week.